Good evening. I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, immigration crackdown, a dramatic shift in immigration policy. This major change announced today by President Trump's administration, zeroing in on how immigration laws are enforced. These changes could set the stage for massive deportations of undocumented immigrants. The new guidelines leave protections in place, though, for the children of undocumented immigrants, known as the Dreamers, otherwise known as the DACA, but they do target virtually all other undocumented immigrants. Now, the guidelines call for the hiring of thousands of Border Patrol agents to enforce current laws, giving the agents broad leeway to make immediate decisions about whom to arrest. White House spokesman Sean Spicer spelled out the reason behind the guidelines earlier today while trying to calm fears within the immigrant community.
The memo regarding the executive order Border Security and Immigration Enforcement Improvements outlines the steps that DHS will take to secure the nation's southern border, prevent further illegal immigration, and to repatriate illegal immigrants swiftly, consistently, and humanely.
Pamela Brown begins our coverage out front tonight. And Pamela, obviously, this is a dramatic shift. They're talking about enforcement, but this is a real shift in the way things have been done.
It absolutely is. Under these new DHS guidelines, basically, the nearly estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States could be subject to deportation. So those who were not targeted under the Obama administration can now be targeted. But the Trump administration saying today that these sweeping changes do not impact, for now, the protections in place for undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children.
Tonight, the Department of Homeland Security releasing new guidelines that could massively expand the number of undocumented immigrants detained or deported from the U.S. They broaden who ICE may target and expedite the removal of undocumented immigrants from the U.S. Recently, Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested more than 680 people in raids in just 1 week and said most of them were criminals.
Everybody who is here illegally is subject to removal at any time. The priority that the president has laid forward and the priority that ICE is putting forward through DHS's guidance is to make sure that the people who have committed a crime or pose a threat to our public safety are the priority of their efforts, first and foremost.
Under President Obama, ICE focused on deportation in 3 categories: convicted criminals, public safety threats, and those who recently crossed the border illegally. Under the Trump administration, anyone who is even accused of a crime, such as a DUI, is eligible for deportation. And the new memos make clear immigration agents now have broader discretion to decide who to round up. CNN rode along with ICE agents in 2015 when they targeted an undocumented criminal at this auto shop in Chicago, when another undocumented immigrant working at the same shop took off running. He had no criminal background, so ICE let him go.
Good luck to you, man.
But now, under the new guidelines, that same man could be detained and possibly deported.
We're scared.
Grayson Martinez was brought to the U.S. from Mexico 20 years ago. The White House says people like Martinez, known as Dreamers, will still be protected under DACA for now.
They were brought here in such a way. It's a very, very tough subject. We are going to deal with DACA with heart.
But Martinez says she's still unsure what her future holds in the U.S.
Or is it that Donald Trump wants to have it both ways? Show mercy in public and in the middle of the night pluck documented people from their beds.
And the memos also end so-called catch and release, where people in the U.S. unlawfully are released while they wait for their proceedings. Instead, the memos call for expedited removal. As this is all going on, Aaron, we've learned that DHS Secretary is going to Mexico and Guatemala this week to discuss border security. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. And I want to go now to Sarah Murray. She's out front at the White House. And Sarah, the Trump administration is trying to calm fears tonight. They're saying, look, these policies were in place under President Obama. Is that true?
Well, Aaron, the laws may not have changed, but certainly the guidance, the enforcement surrounding them is changing under the Trump administration. We saw Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, today deny the notion that this is the beginning of mass deportations. He said that the president simply wants to prioritize people who are a threat to public safety, but that can mean a lot of things. And in that same presser today, Sean Spicer also said that they want to take the shackles off of immigration and Border Patrol officers. they want to essentially give field agents more leeway in who they decide to detain and who they decide to deport. So that means that people who were considered criminals and for deportation under the Obama administration, that could be a much broader universe under the Trump administration. Now, the one thing, as Pam pointed out, that is not changing, at least for now, is how the administration will treat the Dreamers. So while that may be welcome news to many undocumented immigrants in the United States, that's the kind of thing that could open President Trump actually up to criticism from people who voted for him on the right. Aaron.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. And out front now, the president of the California Senate, Democratic Senator Kevin DeLeon, and the former Republican congressman from Colorado and former presidential candidate Tom Tancredo. Also with us, our senior political analyst, Mark Preston. Senator DeLeon, let me start with you. The White House is downplaying this, right? They're saying, look, these rules are on the books. We're now just going to be enforcing more of them. How dramatic of a change is this?
Well, Aaron, I think that this is an extraordinary departure from the former policies of then-President Barack Obama. They are right that the law is the law, but the reality is this, that has never been the custom and practice to go after mothers and fathers, hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying residents of California, or for that matter, the rest of the country. Historically, they have gone after criminal felons. That has been the main focus. But this is something that's dramatically different, and I think they're speaking out of two sides of their mouth. On one end, they're really pushing the narrative of the criminal felon, the murderer, but at the same time, they broaden the criteria to include, without a doubt, nannies, housekeepers, busboys. So this is the beginning signs, without a doubt, in my estimation, of mass deportation.
Congressman, beginning of mass deportations?
Of course, that's a phrase that people like to use in order to scare the immigrant community and rile up a base. It has nothing to do with what's going to happen, nothing to do with what Donald Trump has proposed. Here's the great big headline, massive news, holy mackerel. President to enforce immigration law. That's it, and that is what's driving everybody crazy. Now, he's even said, yes, he's going to expand the priorities that have been set in place by the previous administration. Big deal. You know, when we talked earlier about people who were sent back who had committed serious crimes, it was just about murder and a few things below that. But hell, if you'd been here and committed how many DUIs, it didn't matter. Nobody was going to send you back, even though you were a danger to the people here and you were committing crimes that were serious. Never happened. Now, maybe they will be sent back. And they should be. And there's nothing wrong with actually enforcing the law. It is a brand new day, and I'm glad to see it.
So, Mark Preston, you know, the president said that no one should be surprised by his actions on immigration. And frankly, nobody should be when it comes to did they expect this to happen. In fact, it doesn't go as far as some might expect because it's just enforcing existing law. Here's the president.
These are campaign promises. Some people are so surprised that we're having strong borders. Well, that's what I've been talking about for a year and a half, strong borders. They're so surprised. Oh, he having strong borders. Well, that's what I've been talking about to the press and to everybody else.
Does he have a point? I mean, this is what he said, Mark. He's doing what he said.
Yeah, no doubt, Aaron, and he certainly is keeping to his campaign promise. Not only are we going to see an increase from ICE and other law enforcement officials moving forward and increasing the deportations, but he also talked about building that wall. They also spoke about that as well as today taking more steps to make that happen. What is going to be very interesting, though, specifically in the state of California, and perhaps Senator De Leon could talk about this, is will we see state and local police who, under these orders that were discussed earlier today, who are going to be granted greater power to arrest undocumented workers, will we see state and local police helping ICE agents in some of these raids? And if not, what will be the outcry back in Washington and from the Trump administration?
Yeah, Senator, what happens? So as soon as this takes effect, what do you think is going to be different? I mean, they're going to. Do you actually think they're going to be going in people's homes and taking a nanny away from the kids? Or I mean, what do you see that's going to be different?
Well, Aaron, we're not quite sure yet, but let me get to the point that Mark had just underscored. One, in order for Donald Trump, President Trump, to be successful, he needs to commandeer local police departments, highway patrols, as well as local sheriffs. The reality is, regardless of how many numbers they increase with regards to ICE agents or Border Patrol agents, they're not going to be able to detain more than 11 million immigrants nationwide. They do have to commandeer. local police departments. And I can be very clear about this for the state of California. We won't spend a single cent or lift a single finger to be an extension of the federal government in separating mothers from their children and children from their mothers. This is an extraordinary departure. And I can tell you this, that Tom Tancrendo was Donald Trump way before Donald Trump became Donald Trump on the issue of immigration. The anti-immigrant animus that he harbored in his days of Washington, D.C. Was something that we've never seen before. But the reality is this. No one's ever had a debate or an argument with regard to removing...
Hold on. I just want to give Congressman Tancredo a chance to respond to what the senator just said about you.
Right. Well, he did give me a great compliment there by saying that I was, Donald Trump before he was in office on the issue of immigration. But this anti-illegal immigration animus, this word, and it is used against me, against Trump and others, because it hopes to then change the conversation from the actual law and the enforcement thereof to individuals that you can demonize by using such epithets. But it's not true. Look, I came here today with a guy who was a driver who said to me on the way, I'm here from Croatia. I came 17 years ago. I came the right way. And you know what? I don't like the fact that people can sneak into the country and get essentially the same benefits that I got after doing it, after being in line for years. And that's what I say over and over again. How do you square that circle? Let me give you a chance to respond. You can, I will give any illegal, you know what, put this whole thing open to a vote. Let's let every legal immigrant in this country vote on it. I'll take their outcome.
All right, so Senator De Leon, what do you say to that?
It's a slap in their face.
About the people who wait in line for years, Senator,
Tom,
and now expect
to
have people in this country who didn't come in fairly expect to be treated the same way.
Let me say this, and let me be very clear about this. Immigration to the United States is actually at an all-time low. When Tom was in the Congress, obviously, he did not have the ability to move forward a comprehensive immigration package that dealt with border security as well as a pathway to citizenship. This is also a reflection of the members of Congress who have not been able to do their duty, their responsibility as legislators and legislate and find common ground so we can move forward an immigration package, just like then Republican Ronald Reagan did with the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. Immigration to the U.S. is at an all-time low. So why the demonizing, the scapegoating, and pitting one group against another and taking advantage of economic insecurities that do exist, that are real? But by demonizing a certain individual, by racializing this issue, as President Trump has done, along with Steve Bannon, along with Steve Miller and Tom Tancredi when he was in the Congress, it doesn't really bring this country together. What it does is it tears at the fabric of this nation and who we are.
Congressman, I'll give you the final word since the senator had the first word.
What a lie. What a bald-faced lie, racializing this issue. It's ridiculous. It's got nothing to do with race. Zero, nothing. It's got to do with, because we take in more people. Right now, even under what you describe as the lowest in history, we take in more people legally into this country than any other country in the world. Well over 1 million a year. That is not being shy about the issue of immigration.
Tom, you should have done your job when you were in the Congress.
It doesn't matter what color they are. It does not matter what color they are.
Tom, you should have done your job when you were in the Congress, Tom.
How you would like to make this a racial issue, you can't.
Tom, you should have done your job when you were in the Congress. You didn't do your job when you were in the Congress.
Hey, buddy, I tried.
That's just the bottom line.
You know I tried.
All right. Thank you both very much.